Welcome back to the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show alongside Haley Stasiak. I'm Jordan Ham. We're now joined by Ty Wisdom, the coach of the Horizon Huskies. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So early on in the season, you guys were 0-3, lost three very close games, but now able to right the ship, now to 3-3. What have you learned about this team through your first 6 games?
This team's just continued to get better each game, and we've really these seniors have really taken the ownership and leadership, and we're excited where the ship's going, and just hope to continue it on Friday night.
You mentioned these seniors have kind of started to take the reins and get used to being that leadership role. Is it that group that you've seen the most improvement out of, or where is it that you have seen the most improvement?
Yeah, definitely out of the senior leadership. Isaac Enriquez, our quarterback, has done a great job leading this team, along with Nash Giffen, Chris Grillo, Ryan Hoey on the line. Just those guys have really taken a big leadership role. Just in the last 3, it would have been very easy. You start 0-3 just to start feeling sorry for yourself and put it away. But they haven't. We've continued to get better each game, and they put themselves in a position now.
You mentioned Nash Giffen. For the 3rd straight year, he's leading the team in tackles. He's also a key piece in that running game. Just how have you seen him different as that senior leader?
Nash has just grown up each year, and like I said, this year the kids really younger kids really look up to him, and as far as being the team captain and stuff like that, when we went up to camp and we voted on team captains. I've been a coach for 13 years, and that's the first time I've ever seen every single teammate voted him for team captain.
Wow.
So that's just the way those kids look at him, and he's done a great job in that role. And as far as on the field, his play speaks for himself. He never wants to come off the field. There's times I got to drag him out because I got a really good tailback on the other end in Chris Grillo, and so I try to even out their carries to keep them fresh because they both play on both sides of the ball for us.
Speaking of Chris Grillo, he has really stepped up for you in the run game this year, and then he is pretty good on defense as well. How has his contribution, specifically on the offensive side, been so big for you this year?
It's been great because, like I said, with playing him and Nash both ways, I can get one of them a breather when the other one's in. And people don't realize Chris was hurt about half the year last year, so I couldn't play him at tailback. He had a hamstring injury that he just couldn't overcome, so I couldn't really play him on offense much. And so he's been a great tailback this year for us. And like I said, it just gives us a chance to rest one of them on offense.
You mentioned Isaac Enriquez as one of those senior leaders. He leads the team in passing and in rushing. How do you approach this quarterback position, knowing you have 2 guys you can go to, and Enriquez and Jake Martinelli?
They're both great options. Isaac, like I said, is our quarterback, is our leader. When it's 4th and 1, the ball's going to be in his hands. When the game's on the line, I'm going to put the ball in his hands because he makes plays. The bottom line is he makes plays, and that's where it's at. But it's also great to have a guy like Jake Martinelli being able to come in if Isaac's hurt or a different package or something like that, and know that we're not going to drop off.
This Friday is your military appreciation game against Notre Dame Prep. Military members will get a meal and also be recognized at halftime. Your team's also wearing commemorative jerseys. Just how did this game come together to recognize the military?
We've done that since I've been here the last 3 years with our actually, she just retired last year, but Candy Kelly, our administrator, her husband was a veteran, and I just thought it would be neat to recognize them. And
I think we might have.
We've got an alert coming through the phones.
Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, we had a weather alert. Sorry, you were saying, Coach.
And so I think it's very important that the kids realize why we're playing this game and really show appreciation for the military. And like I said, there's a reason we're playing this game and the freedom that we have in this country, and it's because of that. So I think it's very important that we highlight you guys every year.
On the field this Friday, you're playing Notre Dame Prep. They're undefeated. What do the Huskies have to do to deliver that first loss to the Saints?
You know what? We got to finish. I think special teams are going to be huge. I was just doing things on Sunday, and I was telling our coaching staff. I think they got the best player in the state in the Smith kid. He's 25. He's touched the ball 104 times, including special teams this year, and he scored 25 touchdowns. So you do the math, he's scoring about 25% of the time he touches the ball. So he's fun to watch, but he's scary fast and just very talented kid. So we need to contain him. We're not going to stop him, but we need to contain him. They got a nice quarterback in the Farrell kid. He's thrown for 25 touchdowns, and then and a good mix in their running game. I believe it's that Maestro kid that he's rushing for 110 yards a game. So obviously, offensively, they're very good. They're about 60-40 run pass. So we just need to contain him, not let one man beat us. I mean, what he's done against their first 7 opponents is pretty unbelievable.
Thanks for the time, Coach, and good luck the rest of the way.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Ty Wisdom, the Horizon Huskies head coach. And he provided some really good context there with Jake Smith. We've tried so many ways just to kind of quantify and talk about just how impressive of a season he's having, but he did it perfectly.
Definitely summed it up
25% of the time he's going to score a touchdown. That's pretty insane. But in terms of this Horizon team, like we said, started the year 0-3, a couple of really close losses to some really good football teams. Now they're 3-3. What was your biggest takeaway from what he said?
Well, I saw Marana in that Week 0 game again, or Horizon, excuse me, in that Week 0 game against Marana, and they held it close, and Chris Grillo was the one that stood out to me. I mean, Nash Giffen, I know we talk about him a lot around this team. He stood out as well, but it was Grillo who really stepped up on the offense, and like Coach said, he was injured last year, so he didn't get to get him all those touches on offense as he was hoping to. But he's come out and he mentioned that senior leadership, and you saw that in Grillo and Giffen and Enriquez, and just how that dynamic is not only on the sidelines with hyping these guys up in between plays, in between quarters, but you see that dynamic on the field. And I know we talk about just the bond and all of that stuff all the time with these teams, and I think to have Horizon click after those 3 tough losses that were close and now bounce back and kind of get the ship righted, I think that's big for him.
One of the biggest questions coming into the season was how their offensive line and defensive line would fare because they lost a ton of talent. A ton of talent went D1 from their team last year, and they start the year with 36 points in a loss to Marana, 31 points in a loss to Higley, 35 points in a loss to Pinnacle, and now they're starting to really start to click. But that was the big question mark, and it seems like they have the talent. They're just a little bit young, and it took them a couple games probably just to get their feet under them. Fair. But again, they have a big test. They're going up against a couple really good teams here to end the season in Notre Dame. They're at Cactus Shadows. They're playing a really good Paradise Valley team that only has about 22 players. Eric Sorensen has highlighted that, but they're putting up big numbers. And Desert Mountain, Keaton Slovis, the USC commit. So the defensive line will definitely have their hands full the next couple of games. But I'm going to be at this game. I'm really looking forward to seeing how both teams kind of react because Notre Dame Prep, again, they were a team that had a lot of questions entering the season, a lot of youth. They're undefeated. They're
one of the last remaining.
Yeah, they're playing really well. But I think that this is a test, and I don't think that Coach Prelock and that team is looking over this Horizon team at all. So.
No, I mean, once a team finds their momentum, we talked earlier about these games that we were previewing, Mountain Point's finding their momentum. I mean, Desert Vista's regaining that momentum that they had from earlier in the season. So this region play time is very crucial to get those kind of cobwebs out of the system early, and that's what Horizon seems to have done, and they're picking up the steam.
Yeah, and it's 10-game regular season. It seems like a long season, but it goes really quickly.
It does. It has gone
but
really quickly.
That momentum can just really turn like that.
Yeah.
So definitely going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to seeing how that one shapes up on Friday. Coming up next, we have Ralph Amsden of Arizona Varsity, a very close friend to Sports 360 AZ and this show. He's coming up next on the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show.